John 6. And after this, Yahusha went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, that is the lake Kinnereth, and a large multitude was following him, because they saw his signs which he did on those who were sick. And Yahusha went up on a mountain, and there he sat down with his Talmudim, and the Passover was near, the festival of the Yehudim. Then Yahusha lifted up his eyes, and seeing a large multitude coming toward him, said to Philip, Where shall we buy bread for them to eat? And this he said, testing him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered, 200 pieces of silver would not worth of bread is not sufficient for them, for every one of them to receive a little. One of his Talmudim, Andrew, the brother of Simon Kepha, said to him, Here is a boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes, but what are these for so many? And Yahusha answered, Make the people sit down. And now there was much grass in the place, and the men numbering about 5,000 sat down. And Yahusha took the loaves, and having given thanks, he distributed them to the pupils, and the pupils to those sitting down. Hi, Maria. And the same with the fishes, as much as they wished. And when they were filled, he said to his Talmudim, Gather the broken pieces that are left over, so that none gets wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with broken pieces of the 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten. Verse 14. I'm sorry, y'all, but crack me up. I agree. I said you just cracked me up at the moment. So perfect morning, perfect evening. There you go, Maria. Verse 11. No, where was I? Verse 14. And the men, having seen the sign that Yahusha did, said, This is truly the prophet who is coming to the world. Then Yahusha, knowing that they were about to come and seize him, he does a good thing and they want to kill him, huh? Because they wanted to make him king. That they might make him sovereign, withdrew again to the mountain alone by himself. And when the evening came, his pupils went down to the sea, and entering into the boat, they were going over the sea toward Kepher Nacum. And it had already become dark, and Yahusha had not yet come to them, and the sea was rising because a great wind was blowing. I'm going to pause here and tell y'all something. So, you saw how Yahusha broke the bread. Thank you for listening. Um, and I am obviously 50 years young. Um, what I have seen in the spirit, in the Ruach, is that there will be a day when a store, the storehouse in heaven, I've been there. But there'll be a day here on earth when that's one of the storehouses shelves will just slide into this realm, and we will be able to take that there was rice, beans, and olive oil, and can't remember what else was on the shelf. But it really was cool. The people were coming out of Sam Club, uh, and they had very little food because the government was controlling how much each person got. And I would give each one of them a 10-pound bag of rice off of the shelf, a 10-pound bag of beans off the shelf, and a bottle of olive oil. And then one guy says, "Well, I have a big family," and I said, "Well, don't take more than you need, but I'll give you more." And I gave him like 3 or 4 bags of each. And then another guy says, "Don't give me that much. I'm a small family, or I can do with a little." So he took only 1 or 2, but I guess God knew, because before he got to the car, it kept multiplying, and he kept driving back and putting some of it back on. I said, "You must be a minister or have a big family or something." He goes, "Yes." I said, "Then God's going to continue to increase it." By the time he got it in the car, his whole car was like down. The springs, or the struts, was laid down low because it got so heavy. So I know that God's going to provide. The storehouses of food in heaven are going to, a shelf is going to come down for you, and you're going to be able to distribute the food. It is going to be amazing, and it will multiply in the hand. You just put it in the basket, and as they carry it to the car, it's going to multiply like crazy. If you need more, it will increase. It will be awesome. I can't wait. Okay, back to John 6, verse 17. And entering into the boat, they were going over the sea to this place, Kepher Nahum. And it has already become dark, and Yahusha had not yet come to them. And the sea was rising because of a great wind was blowing. And when they had rowed about 5 to 6 kilometers, they saw Yahusha walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were frightened. And he said to them, "It is I, do not be frightened." And they wished therefore to take him into the boat. And at once the boat was at the land where they were going. So there was another miracle, like a time lapse, right? Where time collapsed. On the next Yom, or day, the multitude that was standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except the one into which his pupils had entered, and that Yahusha had not entered the boat with his pupil, but his pupils went away alone. So they perceived that there was a miracle, right? But other boats came from Kinnereth near the place where they ate bread after the master had given thanks. Therefore, when the multitude saw that Yahusha was not there, nor his pupils, they themselves also entered into the boats and came to Kepher Nahum, seeking Yahusha. And having found him on the other side of the sea, they asked him, Rabbi, where did you come from? And Yahusha answered and said, Truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me, but because you saw signs, not because you saw signs, but because you ate the loaves and were satisfied. Now he's going to talk about being satisfied. Verse 27. Do not labor for the food that is perishing, but for the food that is remaining to everlasting life, which the Son of Adam shall give you. For the Father Elohim has set his seal on him. So they said to him, What should we do to work the works of Elohim? And Yeshua answered and said to them, This is the work of Elohim, that you believe in him whom he sent. So they said to him, What sign then would you do? They just had plenty of signs. They don't need another sign. But they go, Give us another sign. What sign would you do so that we see and believe you? What would you do? Our fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, and has been written, He gave them bread out of the heaven to eat. Therefore Yahusha said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, Moses, or Musha, did not give you the bread out of the heaven, but my Father gives you true bread out of heaven. Interesting. For the bread of Elohim is he who comes down out of the heaven and gives life to the world. So he's calling himself the bread. So they said to him, Master, give us the bread also. And Yahusha said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not get hungry at all, and he who believes in me shall not get thirsty at all. Verse 36. But I say to you that you have seen me, and still do not believe. All that the Father gives me shall come to me, and the one who comes to me I shall by no means cast out, because I have come down out of the heaven, not to do my own desire, but the desire of him who sent me. Verse 39. This is the desire of the Father who sent me, that all he has given me, I should not lose of it. In other words, he shall not lose what's in his hand, right? The children of God that has been given to him. But shall raise it in the last yom. So we're in the last day, that's when we shall rise up to be with him, right? Or it could mean the dead in Christ, the dead in the Messiah, that the dead shall be raised. And this is the desire of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him should possesses every everlasting life. Him should possesses everlasting life. See, it sounds so much like the Hebrew that they took it from. Therefore, the Yehudim were grumbling against him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from the heaven. And they said, is not this Yahuwah, the son of Yusuf, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he says, I have come down from out of heaven? Then Yahusha answered and said to them, do not grumble with one another. No one is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I shall raise him in the last yom. It has been written in the prophets. We're in verse 45. I'm sorry. It has been written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught by Yahusha. Everyone then who has heard from the Father and learned comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except except he who is from Elohim. He has seen the Father. So you have to have the seed of the Father. And can that be given? Yes. Yahusha has come to me, and he took the seed of the serpent out and gave me the seed of righteousness of the Father. And he can do it for you. You should pray that he does. Truly, truly, verse 47. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me possesses everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the desert, and they died. This is the bread which comes down out of the heaven, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down out of heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he shall live forever. And indeed, the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The Yehudim, therefore, were striving with one another, saying, how is this one able to give us his flesh to eat? Yahusha therefore said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the son of Adam and drink his blood, you possess no life in yourselves. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood possesses everlasting life, and I shall raise him up, and I shall raise him in the last yom, in the last day. For my flesh is truly food, and my blood is truly drink. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood stays in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who eats on me shall live because of me. So this is a good reason to take communion every day, right? Verse 58. This is the bread which came down out of heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and died. He who eats this bread shall live forever. He said this in a congregation teaching in Kepher Nahum. Therefore many of his pupils, having heard, said, this word is hard. Who is able to hear it? But Yahusha, knowing within himself that his pupils were grumbling about this, he said to them, does this make you stumble? What if you see the Son of Man going up where he was before? 63. It is the Ruach that gives life. The flesh does not profit at all. The words that I speak to you are Ruach and are life. But there are some of you who do not believe. For Yahuwah knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe and who would deliver him up. So he's talking about Judas, right? Verse 65. And he said, because of this, I have said to you that no one is able to come to me unless it has been given to him by my Father. From then on, many of his pupils withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. Yahusha therefore said to the 12, do you also wish to go away? Then Simon Kepha, or Shimeon Kepha, answered him, Master, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life, and we have believed, and we know that you are the Messiah, or Mashiach, the Son of the living Elohim. Yahusha answered them, have I not chosen you, the 12, and one of you is a devil? He was now speaking of Yehuda from Querioth. So Yehuda was the name of Judah. They changed it to Judah. The son of Shimeon, for he, one of the 12, was about to deliver him up. God bless you for hanging in there for the reading of the word. We need to take communion often, probably daily. It is the meal that heals. It is resurrection life. And I'm going to get off of here and I'm going to take communion after reading these beautiful words. We must drink his blood and eat his flesh. Hallelujah. You must believe that You must believe that his act of dying in your stead made it so that you do not have to die the second death in the lake of fire. And you must believe that his blood, which is for everything, replaced your guilty blood. And he took your guilty blood on the cross. All the sins of the whole earth. And you have life now. Life abundant. And you have another body in Messiah. You have another body. Because you believe in the spiritual act that he surrendered his body. And it was broken, just like the bread was broken. That's why he called himself the living bread. And it will satisfy everyone. It will make a new body for everyone. And his blood was spilled. And it will make new blood for everyone. God bless you. You have a great day.